Hey, 49ers faithful, what a ride this season has been so far. The energy around the Bay is electric again, and after that huge win over Atlanta, it feels like the team might finally be finding its rhythm. You can almost sense it coming, right? The Niners have been grinding, holding on through injuries and lineup changes, but now some key pieces are finally coming back. And one of those names, the one we've all been waiting to see make a difference, is George Kittle. His presence changes everything, not just in the air, but on the ground too. Heading into that Sunday night matchup, a lot of people were wondering if the 49ers could keep things steady with him, Jones under center. But this guy has earned respect inside the locker room fast. For wins in 5 starts, that's no small feat, especially when you've been tossed into the mix in the middle of the storm. Kyle Shanahan's system isn't something you learn overnight, but Jones seems to get it. He's not out there trying to be flashy. He's executing, he's steady, and he's keeping the offense moving despite all the bumps and bruises around him. And then there's the game plan that got everyone talking. Shanahan wanted physicality. He wanted bully ball. He wanted to take it straight to the Falcons' defense, which came in as one of the top-ranked units in football. And he did exactly that. 30 to 40 runs, right up the middle, pounding that defense until it broke. That's the kind of identity football that defines San Francisco at its best. When they commit to that style, hard-nosed, relentless trench warfare, it opens up everything else. George Kittle might not have caught a single pass in that game, but his fingerprints were all over it. Every big run, every chunk of yard between the tackles had his blocking written all over it. When he was on the field, the 49ers were averaging well over a yard before first contact. When he wasn't, that number dropped drastically. That's not a coincidence. That's dominance. 151 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns with him out there tell the whole story. That's why this team needs him healthy. Sure, he'll boost the passing attack as time goes on, but right now his impact on the ground game is massive. And how about Christian McCaffrey? Once again, proving why he's one of the best running backs in the league. With Kittle back helping open those lanes, he looked like his old self again. Decisive, powerful, and impossible to stop in open space. That's the version of McCaffrey that turns the Niners from good to elite. But let's talk about the bigger picture. Going into that matchup, many thought the 49ers were barely holding things together. Now, they're 5-2, alive, and very much in the hunt. NBC reported during the broadcast that Brock Purdy is still day-to-day with that turf toe injury, and there's no real timeline for his return. He even mentioned that one wrong move could set him back completely. So, the team's taking it slow, being cautious, because this isn't an injury you can just tape up and play through. That means Jones could be the guy again next week, and honestly, based on how he's handled the job so far, the team should feel confident. Inside the facility, you can tell Jones has won people over. Players talk about how quickly he's adapted to the playbook, how he's not afraid to lead, and how he's kept this offense functional while dealing with a rotating cast around him. That kind of composure isn't easy to find, especially in a young quarterback. And with Ricky Pearsall possibly returning in Week 8, the offense might finally get a bit more balance back. Now, looking beyond San Francisco, there's a lot going on around the league that could impact the Niners down the line. Trey Hendrickson from Cincinnati, for example, has drawn attention from several teams, including the Niners. The Bengals aren't actively shopping him, especially after that Thursday night win that kept them competitive in the AFC North. But if things go sideways for them, that conversation could heat up again. Hendrickson would be a massive addition to San Francisco's defensive front, a true difference maker who fits their aggressive style perfectly. Meanwhile, the AFC North has turned into one of the strangest divisions in football. The Ravens, whom many expected to dominate, have just one win. The Browns got a much-needed victory over the Dolphins, who continue to fall apart. Cincinnati's clawing its way back into contention. And Pittsburgh, well, they're scrappy but inconsistent. It's chaos, but that chaos might benefit teams like the 49ers as the trade deadline approaches because it could open up opportunities. Speaking of teams in chaos, how about the Dolphins? Mike McDaniel, once a rising star and a former Niners assistant, seems to be losing the locker room. Miami's sitting with one win, the players don't seem to be buying in anymore, and that team could very well go into full rebuild mode soon. If that happens, their name San Francisco should absolutely keep an eye on. Bradley Chubb, for one, has experience, still produces, and would bring veteran leadership to the locker room. Or maybe a younger option like Jalen Phillips, incredibly talented, working his way back from injury, and still with tons of upside. That's the kind of player who could grow with this core. The Jets are another team worth watching. Robert Saleh knows the Niners system inside out, and there are reports that the Jets are getting calls about running back Breece Hall and defensive end Jermaine Johnson. Imagine Johnson reuniting with Saleh, or even landing back in a system that mirrors what made him successful before. Those are the types of under-the-radar moves that could quietly strengthen the Niners' defense heading into the second half of the season. Now, I know everyone's been buzzing about trade possibilities, and one name that always comes up because it just makes sense is Max Crosby. The Raiders are a mess. Their offense can't find an identity, and their roster feels stuck between a rebuild and denial. If I'm John Lynch, I'm picking up the phone. Crosby is still young, still elite, and he fits everything this defense stands for: effort, toughness, and production. Pair him with Nick Bosa, and suddenly that defensive line becomes nightmare fuel for any offensive coordinator in the league. Crosby's contract might be big, but the Niners have managed stars before. Fred Warner, Bosa, and a few key veterans are already anchoring that defense. Adding one more elite piece wouldn't just make them better this year. It would make them more dangerous for the next several seasons. You can tell the organization's thinking long-term while still trying to capitalize on the now. That's the balance they're trying to strike: stay competitive, but don't mortgage the future. The reality is, at 5-2, the Niners are right where they need to be. They've battled through injuries, made the necessary adjustments, and now with key players returning, they're set up to make another serious run. The league's wide open this year. No unbeatable teams, no dominant favorites. Everything's up for grabs. So if there's ever a time to make a move that could elevate you from contender to favorite, this might be it. And with George Kittle healthy, Christian McCaffrey in rhythm, and that offensive line playing with fire again, you can feel that trademark 49ers energy starting to come back. It's that gritty, no excuses, punch you in the mouth kind of football that made this team so dangerous. The foundation is there. The question now is, how far can they take it? The next few weeks are going to tell us everything about who this San Francisco team really is. Sitting at 5-2 feels good, sure, but Shanahan and his players know the margin for error is razor thin. The schedule ahead isn't forgiving. There's still no clear timeline for Brock Purdy's return, which means Jones might need to carry the torch a little longer. But you get the sense that this locker room believes in him. He's calm, composed, and he doesn't try to play outside himself. Every snap looks like it's calculated, like he's not just running the system, but understanding why it works. That's rare for a quarterback who was thrown into the fire this early. You could see that chemistry starting to build between Jones and his skill guys against Atlanta. Even though the passing game wasn't the highlight, the trust was there. The receivers ran crisp routes, the timing was solid, and it all set the tone for how this offense wants to play moving forward. When you pair that with the power running game and the blocking dominance that George Kittle brings, you get balance. And balance is everything in a Shanahan offense. When this team finds rhythm on the ground, it opens up the play action, and suddenly defenses have no clue where the ball is going. That's what makes the return of Ricky Pearsall so important. He's a young receiver, but he brings energy, speed, and separation ability that's been missing in some of these games. If he's good to go in Week 8, it changes how defenses line up against San Francisco. They can't stack the box the same way when there's another deep threat on the field. And when that happens, Christian McCaffrey becomes even more dangerous. Every defender has to think twice before crashing down, and that's exactly the kind of split-second hesitation McCaffrey thrives on. Now let's not ignore the defense, because they deserve a ton of credit for that win over the Falcons. That unit played with fire again. They looked physical, disciplined, and angry, the kind of defense that refuses to get pushed around. It's not just about sacks or turnovers, it's about tone. The 49ers defense set the tone in that game, and Atlanta couldn't match it. You could feel it from the opening drive. That swagger was back. Still, if there's one thing that's been clear this season, it's that the Niners could use more help in the pass rush rotation. Nick Bosa is doing his thing, but teams are throwing double and even triple coverage his way. That's why adding someone like Trey Hendrickson would make so much sense. He's relentless, strong, and plays with the kind of edge that fits this team's identity. If Cincinnati decides to pull the trigger on a move, San Francisco should be at the front of the line. But what about Max Crosby? You can't help but imagine how terrifying a duo of Bosa and Crosby would be. Both are relentless motor guys who never take a play off. It's a long shot, sure, but football is all about seizing windows when they open. San Francisco has a window right now. They're healthy enough to compete, but experienced enough to know how hard it is to get back to this position. If there's a time to be aggressive, it's now. Around the league, the noise is getting louder as the trade deadline gets closer. The Raiders might finally be ready to blow it up. The Dolphins, falling apart fast, could look to reset. Even the Jets and Titans have players drawing interest. Tennessee might move veterans, and that includes some defensive talent that could give the Niners even more muscle up front. Jeffrey Simmons, for example, would be a dream addition. Maybe unrealistic, but imagine him clogging the middle next to Arik Armstead. Nobody's running through that wall. Of course, there's always the balance between what you want and what you can actually afford. John Lynch has been careful with draft capital, but he's also proven he'll make a bold move when the opportunity is right. Remember when he brought in McCaffrey? Nobody saw that one coming, and look how it changed everything. That's why it wouldn't be a shock if the Niners pulled off another surprise. The league is wide open right now. The Chiefs are still scary, the Eagles are rolling, but there's no unbeatable team. The difference this year might be depth and health. San Francisco has learned that the hard way in recent seasons. They've been to the edge of glory, only to fall short because of injuries or a thin rotation. So now it's about building a roster that can take hits and keep fighting. Adding another defensive piece or a rotational weapon on offense could be the difference between another playoff run and a Super Bowl appearance. As for Kyle Shanahan, he deserves credit for how he's kept this team locked in through all the chaos. His decision to lean on the run game against Atlanta wasn't just smart. It was a statement. It told the league that the 49ers are going to dictate the game on their terms. That's how this team wins. They're not built to chase points. They're built to dominate time of possession, where defense is down, and then strike when it matters most. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL world, wide receiver T. Higgins has reportedly declined the opportunity to renew his contract and is now rumored to be heading to the San Francisco 49ers. Sources close to the situation suggest that negotiations with his current team reached a stalemate, leaving Higgins to explore new opportunities in what could be one of the most surprising off-season moves in recent memory. Higgins, known for his precise route running and reliable hands, has been a cornerstone of his current franchise's offense, consistently delivering big plays in crucial moments. Yet, despite his on-field success, it appears that financial disagreements and long-term vision may have driven a wedge between the star receiver and his organization. Rumors indicate that the 49ers, eager to bolster their passing game, have been quietly courting Higgins for months, offering a package that aligns with both his ambitions and the team's championship aspirations. The prospect of Higgins donning the iconic red and gold has sent fans and analysts into a frenzy, speculating how he would fit alongside the 49ers' existing weapons. With a dynamic quarterback and a high-octane offense, San Francisco could provide Higgins with the perfect stage to elevate his career even further. Insiders suggest that the team views him as a potential game-changer, someone capable of redefining their aerial attack and adding a new dimension to their offensive schemes. While nothing is official yet, whispers from league insiders imply that Higgins' decision could trigger a domino effect, prompting other teams to reassess their own wide receiver situations. The NFL community is watching closely, eager to see whether this rumored signing will materialize and how it could reshape the balance of power in the league. As the buzz intensifies, one thing is clear. T. Higgins' next move could be the talk of the NFL for months to come. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.